Welcome to another edition of The Manual. This is Professor Alton Woods. I'm Chip Wrights, and glad to be here doing the playbook on manhood.
On manhood, yes, sir.
That's what we do. So as we normally do on our segments, we start off with Man, Did You See? So Man, did you see that Ketanji Brown Jackson was named to the United States Supreme Court? That's amazing.
Highest court in the land.
Highest court in the land, and the first African-American woman to ever be appointed to the court.
Man, that's incredible.
That is,
it is incredible.
Shout out to you. Shout out to all the Deltas out there, too.
No, wait, we need to fix it, because we'd have shouted out the AKAs if we were doing this podcast at the time.
Right.
I need to fix that first, fam. All right, I got you. I got you. We're not hating. It's just that we didn't do this at that time.
Right.
Okay.
We do it at the time. So AKAs, y'all get love too.
That's
on
right.
Kamala Harris, of course, and then now the Delta's in there. So
that's right.
Kudos.
We're gonna have a whole Divine Nine in DC in a minute.
Oh my goodness. So that's that. Now, your Man, did you see?
So at first I was gonna say, man, did you see the story about Dwayne Haskins? And what happened to him?
I was like, oh my goodness, man.
That's incredible. But we'll come back to that. And by the way, all prayers and thoughts to his family and friends. And I believe he's married, his beautiful wife.
He is married. He is married. I mean, my wife said to me, she said, I wouldn't want. How can you get that phone call as a mother or a wife?
As a wife, yeah. That's crazy. Well, the thing that caught me though, and we can circle back to that, but Gil Brandt, the 90-year-old Hall of Fame, Gil Brandt.
So Gil Brandt on the NFL
Network,
Sirius
on NFL radio, yeah. So he apparently was interviewed on NFL radio. At least they asked him about it yesterday morning, I guess, right as the news broke. And he said, and I quote, "He was a guy that was living to be dead. It was always something with Haskins. Maybe if he stayed in school a year, he wouldn't do silly things like jogging on a highway."
If I'm an NFL player, I would make sure that this week would be Gil Brandt's last week on the NFL Network.
First of all, we all know that as you get older, I like to say you lose your filter, but maybe you lose your faculties. Because at 90 years old, Gil Brandt is clearly not, well, I shouldn't say clearly, maybe he is, but I would imagine he didn't become a Hall of Fame front office exec by saying stupid things all the time.
Okay.
So there's something about him at this point in his life. He probably shouldn't be on the radio talking about this stuff in all seriousness.
Right.
But that was one of the most insensitive and I'm hesitant to say what I'm about to say, and that is racist things, because it is not lost on me that the 90-year-old white man, without all of the information, is making this statement about a 24-year-old black quarterback. And he's questioning his intelligence.
He is.
And some of his life choices. And while I don't know everything that Dwayne Haskins was doing, I'm not aware. I mean, he might have, maybe he didn't have the greatest work ethic, in terms of being in the quarterback room with the Washington Commanders, I guess is who we call them now.
Right.
But I guess, what has he done to say, what has Dwayne Haskins done for somebody to say he's living to be dead?
Right. There's nothing out there that says that his life is that reckless.
Exactly.
There's nothing out there that especially, that I know of.
Correct.
But you don't even make that kind of statement.
Even if it's true, you don't make it.
And then, so now the overtone in this is, you should have stayed in school another year. So now, once again, make the black athlete, stay in school, continue to contribute to the predominantly white university, make money for them, but not for yourself.
And I could be wrong, but did Gil Brandt say Ryan Leaf should have stayed in school another year? Or Johnny Manziel should have stayed in school another year? Or Baker Mayfield? All of which have things that they were doing off the field.
Right, that were attracting negative attention.
Yet it doesn't appear that they were living to be dead.
Right.
So Gil Brandt, and I'm not a big cancel the culture kind of guy, But Gil Brandt needs to get canceled.
Yeah, he needs to
immediately.
Yeah, you can't do that. You already have your accolades, you Hall of Fame, everything else. You can't keep talking. Not in this culture. We're trying to build a culture that accepts everybody from a racial standpoint. To say that, hey, there's nobody better than anybody else. And for him to make that kind of statement,
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So he should sit in his rocking chair on his porch with his mint julep and enjoy whatever time he has.
If you want to have that conversation at your house or in your backyard with whoever your friends are. But to say that on a national platform is ridiculous.
Unexcusable. Unacceptable. Inexcusable.
Let's get with the manual. So, another edition of the manual, and this week we've got an interesting topic that we want to put before everybody, and I'm very sure we should get some comments about this. So, the question is, do I love you, or do I love what you bring to the table?
Oh, Jesus.
And so I think your initial thoughts were, okay, are we going to do this male or female?
Yeah. From what angle, right?
Yeah, but when I kind of thought about it, I said it's both.
Both. Mm-hmm.
It's both, because you have trifling men and you have gold diggers, but you also have people that have standards, have a higher expectation. And so where does all of that fit in?
That's right.
All right. So I'd have to say that in my early years, I fell into the trifling category.
Yeah.
Fell into the trifling
I was a
category.
card carrying member as well.
Right. You know, it's kind of what can you do for me, because you fine and everything else. And then, sometimes, man, you don't even know how stupid you were until you start to reflect. I think what's really cool about all of us, we have a brain and we can recall memories and things like that. But I'm just like, you out there, you don't have a car, you don't have a place to stay, and then you meet up with this girl, and all of a sudden she's got all these amenities for you to some extent. So. You try to cash in on that. You got a job, but who's paying for some of the stuff that y'all doing? Is it you? Is it her?
That's right.
And so sometimes, as a younger man, you look at the benefit package more than you do the actual person, and so we never get to know the person.
That's right.
Which is why the relationship fails.
Yeah. I think that's fair. But you said you don't have a car, and you just triggered an emotion for me. Not disclaimer. Let me start here. As a man, there are times when life can deal us a very bad blow.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We can lose everything. We can have to start over. And if we meet someone in that season, right, things can look a certain way. Got that? Okay. That's not what I'm talking about right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
so I needed to be clear to any man that might be going through a rough patch. You are used to and have been consistently productive and able to take care of yourself and whatever responsibilities you have. And maybe you've been laid off or some medical situation, whatever happened, right? And it puts you in a period that you need to start over. And I'm not talking about that. And by the way, all of those, we should probably pray for those men at some point in this process.
So Father, if we got any men that are listening to us now that are feeling either depressed or feeling less than adequate because of some life situations that are happening, I pray that you would strengthen and encourage them, God. Let them know that they can get up from here, that you still have a plan for their life, God. Don't let the enemy drain their emotions and make them think they're not adequate. So God, thank you for strength now for these men wherever they are, for Jesus' sake.
Amen. Wow, I felt that was important in this moment. But I want to talk about the other guys, because and we used to talk about this, leaving work at the end of the day and females sitting out in front of the building waiting on their man to come and pick them up.
in
her car. And in some cases that we're intimately familiar with, he was at her apartment all day while she was at work.
On the gaming system.
I was about to say, playing his game at her apartment and smoking his weed at her apartment while she's working at her job. That just shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And that's, I think, a great example of, and I can't even say in those moments that the man doesn't love the girl. I can't make that statement, but I can say that he loves the benefit package. I know that.
Yeah, he still loves him more than her.
Correct. That's fair. Okay, that's a great point.
Yeah, he still loves him more than her. It's not, he may love her, but not more than he loves himself.
That's right.
And so what we've learned is that in a lot of cases, the girl has stopped being the girlfriend and started being the mother.
The mother.
You know, and so now what happens is he's there and she's talking to him like he's her child.
That's right.
And he's upset. He's like, why are you talking to me like that? But what's happened is her mother instinct has kicked in because you've not taken the role of the relationship.
That's right.
Of being, the man who's going to help make this thing work.
Right. Because you're either a partner or a dependent. There is no in between.
Wow.
If you think about it, you're either a contributor or a dependent.
Okay.
There's no third option.
Wow.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that all contributors have to be equal.
Okay.
But you're either putting in or pulling out. Right.
Yeah,
and so from a woman's perspective, if she's having to carry the load of all of the responsibilities, then other than sex, and if you cook or clean, I don't know, but other than sex or some chores, and I can't even say chores because technically a child can do that too.
Yeah.
So other than having sex with her, you're bringing no more to the table than her 13-year-old son.
Right. And psychologically, that's how she may see you.
She has no choice but to over time. Like if it stays that way too long, even if she doesn't want to, she will start to see you as a dependent, as someone she has to take care of.
So now this is a side note. And sometimes brothers get involved with women who have been in that type of situation and they've not learned how to turn it off. And so now I'm trying to approach you as a responsible man, as you're doing certain things, but you're still talking to me as a child because that's what you used to. And you've not made the change to understand, and that's not who I am.
That's right.
I'm trying to do something different here.
That's right.
So you got to figure all of that out. But I think that a man has to come in with a standard. Just like a lot of times we put it off on women to have the standard, but if the man has the standard, then the woman doesn't have to place as much emphasis on that because I'm coming correct.
Exactly.
I'm coming into, I told my son he can't date unless he has a job.
Right.
Because if he doesn't have a job and he's going on a date, then it's my date.
Exactly, because I have to finance
I'm dating her. Yeah, I'm financing everything, so I'm really dating whoever it is that you're dating. So you need a job to understand that I have to work so I can have the money that I want to be able to go out and do something that builds a foundation.
So to all of our single mothers out here that's raising sons, right? I understand depending on the age or circumstance, he might not be able to work, but at least make him earn the money that he's going to use to go on a date. Right. Now, if you're just going out with friends, everything's, everybody's hanging out, cool. But if you have any plans to pay for anybody's meal, movie, whatever it is, no, you have to earn that. That's right. Because people will spend your money on stuff they don't care about. But they normally don't spend their own money on stuff they don't care about. So make him understand that if I'm going to take my time and my resources out, it needs to be for something I want to do.
Right.
For something I think is worthwhile.
Right.
As opposed to you just feeding him money to go do
That's
whatever.
good, because then that teaches him value.
Value. That's exactly what I was. It teaches him value.
And a lot of our young daughters, young ladies that are out there don't understand their own value. And so if you have a guy who comes along who doesn't care about value, then he'll take what it is that he wants, and then he's out.
And he's out. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Right.
So what are, if we could give them a couple of things that we'll start with the men, because men need to start there. What are maybe some standards, some things that, if you think about it, that should be implemented in their own life, so that they don't end up going after a woman just for what she has?
So I think it's important as men that we have a strong understanding of, and have a strong plan, even if we don't have our own acquisition, right? Okay. So in other words, I think as men, and we talked about this on one of our early shows, but as men, we're kind of built to provide something, right? And so as a man, it's important that I have the ability to provide, or a plan to provide.
Okay.
Otherwise, I could easily find myself being attracted to a woman because they can supply me with my needs, because I have no mechanism of getting them on my own.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So either a plan to provide, or the existing ability to provide first and foremost for me. Right. Another thing that I think is interesting is, and I don't know if this is, I don't know if this is coming from the man or the woman's perspective. Maybe it's both, but if a man truly has to answer in his mind, if this woman won't have sex with me and won't finance my habits, do I still want to be around her? Now, that's a question we might not answer to the woman, but in the man's mind, he's got to be able to answer that question. Right. Because let's be honest, there's some women out here doing some great things. We started, man, did you see, with the first black female Supreme Court justice, right? And we then quickly followed up with the first black female vice president. So then we just use those two examples, and those are, grand extremes, maybe for the general audience, but still, there's women out here doing some amazing things, right? And they look amazing too.
Right.
And so sometimes you're just attracted to the whole, and you don't even take the time to separate what's the pieces that's pulling you in the most, right? And so sometimes you got to go through that reflection period and say, what is it about this woman, right? Because what if she's the best sex in the world, she can cook the best steak you ever had, and she can pay all the bills. Which one of those three things are the most important to you? If you don't take time to think about it, you don't know.
Right.
Because it's all good.
Right. Yeah. You just taking it
all in, right? And then when one piece of it, maybe the piece, then she loses her job. And now all of a sudden you don't want to be with her.
Right.
Well, and now we know which one was the most important.
Now we walk around mad at the house. It's like, what is that all about?
Correct.
Well, now a benefit has been taken from me. So
or maybe she don't lose her job. She just decided to stop spending her money on what you want her to spend it on.
Yeah. I don't want to be in that kind of position.
No.
I think that one of the things that you should be, there are two things that were very attractive about my wife besides her physical attraction to me. I thought and still think she is a beautiful woman, but there are two things that really got a hold to me, which was her spirituality. She knew she had a relationship with God, but then secondly was her mind. She could think, she could process, she understood things. She, I wasn't like I was talking to a can of paint. And so if you're not talking to this woman, if you're not having conversation with her, if the conversation does not stimulate you, then you should probably move on. Because as fine as she is, fine is gonna get old. I know fine gets old because it's some people that I thought were the finest things walking, and people have walked away from those relationships. Now, I didn't think, when I was younger, I didn't think wasn't nobody finer than Halle Berry.
Right.
How could David Justice walk away from Halle Berry? But obviously, fine was not the issue. And so what do y'all, can you have a conversation? Can you really talk about some of the things that interest both of you? that could possibly enhance your lives. So that's important. That's important for me.
It is. I'm struggling. And let me tell you why I'm struggling. What you're saying makes perfect sense to me. But I also know what season of my life I'm in. I know what season of life you're in. But I don't know if the 23-year-old version of me could have grasped what we're saying right now, to be honest with you. It sounds great. It's right.
Now, okay, I'll challenge that with this.
Okay.
When you were 22, 21, 22, 23, do you remember some girls who you'd be like, oh, y'all, no, I got to come correct if I'm ever going to, talk to her because she looked like she was on top. You knew she was on top of her game.
Yes, I do.
So maybe that's the 20-year-old version of it.
Well, yeah, but there were times when, and let me just bring this into 2022 now, what we know about the way the landscape has changed. For every one of those females, which they absolutely exist, there's 5 other ones where I don't have to come correct with my game, right? That might be just as fine as this one. And without digging deep, well, even if I dig deep, don't matter because maybe at 21 and 22, all I care about is how fine she is. I don't know.
Okay.
But so my point is, I think some of this advice is great depending on the season you're in.
Okay.
Right. But so for me, now what I did say is this, right? Because I had my first child when I was 32. Okay. So there were no accidents.
Okay.
Right. Now, there were no accidents because for me, it wasn't about fine. It wasn't about how much money they make and all of those kind of things. It was a couple of questions like, if I make a baby with this woman, can I survive? Can I I don't mean survive financially. I mean, what am I going to do? Right? Because that ties us together. Even if I don't want to be with you, it ties you together. Right. And so I got to think about what am I going to do there? Because I'm sitting and I'm thinking to myself, at 21, while I know that I was like if I could package the perfect woman, yeah, she would be the finest thing ever. She would be, Beyonce with I don't know, pick the smartest black woman and let's use her brain and
one of the ones from Hidden Figures.
Have her mind and Beyonce's appearance and or maybe I should say Beyonce's bank account or her appearance and her bank account. I don't know, but the point is, yeah, if I could put it, go to like the Lego store and put it all together, it would have all of those things. But if we can be honest, at a certain age in our life, while we know that stuff is important, we always thinking I can get that later. Right now, just give me Beyonce, broke, with no vocabulary. Just be quiet, baby. And maybe I should say Megan Thee Stallion because I'm talking to a different group.
I don't know if that's another topic somewhere, but if y'all think about it, who did we compromise on just because of a certain attribute? What we knew wasn't nothing gonna happen here for the long term. But what kind of time, energy, life did we pour into people that we knew we weren't going to be with? I probably need to do a public apology here for anybody who may even watch it and say, I am sorry for wasting your time.
I have a very specific name that I'm not going to say out loud, but I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Oh my
and
goodness.
If you DM me, I promise I would tell you if it's you that I'm talking about. But yeah, so again, I'm trying to think through, so for the 40-year-olds, I get it, right?
So
what
how to help some of our young brothers try to figure this thing out.
Yeah, how to help, because it's tough, man. It's tough. It's women throwing stuff at, man, listen, nowadays the women are more aggressive than the guys. Like back when we were doing it, we hunted some of this stuff
I was
out.
just in Memphis on last week. And I left out the hotel and went around the corner. I just happened to be around the corner from Beale Street, so I go. I just went there to try to grab something to eat. So I'm walking in the store, and there were 3 girls walking down the street, and I'm walking in the store, and they said, "Hey, cute chocolate." And I kept walking right on in the store. I'm like, I'm not responding to that.
Don't you dare.
I'm like, I know y'all see I'm a grown man. It's a little gray in there. I know y'all see I'm a grown man.
They don't care, man.
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. And so now we have to figure out, and We are about out of time. So we need to pick this up on our next one, because what I'd love to do is have this conversation from the perspective of a 20-something-year-old man, right? Mm-hmm. How do we tell them, ignore the cute face, the little waist, and the big tail, and think about it more deeply when your hormones are raging out of control and she is trying her best to just give it to you? Wow. And now we're going to tell them, you need to look deeper than that. I don't know, man.
A real check. A real check.
A real and a practical one.
Now, what I will say is, those are the conversations that we're going to have if we're going to turn the tide of certain things. That somebody's got to decide to change the standard.
That's right.
So how do we navigate that right now?
Right now. Because listen, on the other side of 40, you done lost enough, made enough mistakes to start to hone this thing in a little bit. And to be frank, you're just tired now. You just like, you know what?
Because after 40, if you still at the club or at the VFW or wherever it is that you are, and you still trying to mac at that age, then that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story. And you tired. You got to be tired.
That's a lot of energy, right?
A lot of energy. So let's pick this one up. We're going to go with the 20-year-olds.
Okay. All right. We're going to pick it up on next week. So this has been another edition of The Manual. Please go and like and share. Like us and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out. Like and subscribe. Leave your comments so we can go in and check them out and see what you have to say. So we can have some more, well, we can't have dialogue, but we can have more conversation about it moving forward.
That's right.
For the Professor Alton Woods, I'm Chip Rice, and this has been another edition of The Manual.